Welcome to Football Geeks podcast. In this episode, we detour from our usual roster of superb football guests to hook up with some superb musical guests. Hailing from northwest border city of Carlisle, their studio debut album, The Borderland, full of excellent melodies and massive choruses, signpost them as indie rock contenders with a live LP, A Majesty's Pleasure, the Prison album, cementing their status. Now they're back with a new collection of songs, Fly the Flag, an all-killer, no-filler set that, whilst embracing historical musical influences, is fresh, modern, and utterly brilliant. They're as clean as a whistle and as fresh as a fish. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome Tom and Jonny Foster from Hardwicke Circus. Hello, boys.
Hello. Hello. How are you?
I'm all right. How you doing? You okay?
Pleasure to be here. We've been looking forward to this for ages, since you first mentioned it in Preston, I think it was.
Yeah, it's we've been hanging on, and now we're here. We're here to do the business, boys.
But like, when we theme tune.
Oh, it is. I was just about to mention that. Yeah, for those who are listening on Spotify, especially, the theme tune to this show is by Hardwicke Circus. One of the fantastic standards, which really, it's like, to me, it sounds, what Match of the Day has got that distinctive. I actually think Let's Make No Mistakes is actually kind of perfectly written for a kind of football show.
No, we're all over that. We're yet to hit up Gary Lineker or Jermaine Genius, but if they are listening, now is their chance. They have a small window.
But what's going to happen?
Then what are you going to use? I know it's true.
I was going to say, if Lineker comes sort of like knocking on your door and saying, "Oi, boys, what's going to happen? Can I use another one of yours?"
Nah, fear not. They'll get the B-side. Don't worry about
wicked. Yeah, fantastic. That sounds good. So, guys, when we talked about you coming on the show, you told me that it'd be great to guest on a football podcast. I think we all agreed on that, because you didn't have to answer the same usual boring, repetitive questions that are thrown in your direction about music. But, however, that said, it would be remiss of me not to ask about the new album. So, boys, tell us about Fly the Flag.
So Fly the Flag is our second album, Hardwicke Circus. It's the sophomore record, and it's 12 songs, each their own king, and we think it's the best representation of Hardwicke Circus. We're a gigging band. We tour all the time, 4 nights a week, all over England, from Kent all the way up to Orkney, and we play in every known venue, anything we can get our hands on, from pubs, clubs, theatres, prisons, music festivals, supporting other bands. And we've been very fortunate that over this last year, in doing that, we've been able to hone our sound and to work on a live set that we think can take on anybody. And we're so excited to now finally capture that energy and that excitement of being in Hardwicke Circus, of being on the road, of playing in all these different places, in playing all of our different songs, in all their different styles and flavors. To finally have that on an album is really exciting for us. Because if you hear it, it's 12 songs, as I say, kind of schizophrenic in genre, but full of intensity and full of excitement. And, ultimately, I think it's a record that, it makes us want to get up and dance. It's here to cure pop's Great Depression. We're not all about sitting in our room and wallowing over our thoughts. We want to get out there and play our music to people, and hopefully the words resonate and people want to get up and sing and dance to them. So it's a very joyous album, and it's very musical, covering a lot of ground. And we're so excited to have it out there and for people to hear it finally.
That's fantastic. So, I mean, there's a lot of different influences. There's a like American kind of influence. There's blues, and there's the Philly sound, and there's Motown, there's Northern soul. But there's also kind of like, as you say, I mean, all the songs are very different, but there is a kind of unified Hardwicke sound. Would you agree with that, Tom?
It's just the drum sound, I think.
Nicely done, too.
No, I think so. I think there is, because as Jonny says, we play it live so much that, you know, there is like an essence of it being very live. I think the previous album, The Borderland, our first one, that was very kind of one, you could kind of pin it down as one thing. But as Jonny says, on this album, it's a lot harder to do. And that's not a bad thing. I think it's probably quite a refreshing thing. But there are things that we always do that are very kind of Hardwicke, you know, like Lewis, whatever the hell Lewis is doing. I don't want to say what it is because I don't know. But he has his own thing, and the saxophone and Jonny's vocals and stuff. There are parts that are kind of us for sure.
And I think ultimately we're just trying to write like songs. So whilst they might have their huge, large scope in sound on a stage, like we can strip them back and play them completely acoustically with one guitar or at one piano. And so that's how they begin, and they can always go back to that. And whatever we record, that has to like be the foundation of it. It just has to work as a simple song that we can sing to one another, and then we can dress it up as we like.
Yeah, put the clothes on it, like. But there is an acoustic album coming out. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail a little bit later. Sorry, boys. Now you share the songwriting responsibilities. I know Lewis has also kind of written "There's True Loves and Near Misses," which is fantastic, and lyrical poetry. But you guys are poets as well. But as lyricists, you're very different animals, aren't you? Would you agree with that? Or
Well, it's the first I've ever been called a poet, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
I don't know how that feels. I don't know. I think we're both similar. That we kind of just write what we want to write. You know, a lot of people write stuff. Can you swear on this podcast, by the way? No.
Feel free, boys. Feel free. I'm just the host. You say what you want to do.
A lot of people just write like shit that they don't really mean or think about. Really, I mean, like it's all very. I don't know. Like I think we just sort of both write about what we think, and we don't really care what other people think about it, which is good. Although sometimes it gets you in trouble.
And also we are kind of different animals. I mean, being, you know, I think that's the kind of the beauty of our arrangement in the band is that we're all coming from very different directions. Yeah. There's not one person trying to say, well, it should be this or strictly that, or we should stay away from that. There's a freedom in being in the band that allows for all of our differences to kind of run alongside the unified vision we have of who we think we can be. I mean, me and Tom are constantly kind of reciprocating this kind of submissive relationship between one another, in the sense that, you know, we write independently, and then there has to be a moment where Tom will bring a song to me and I'm there kind of thinking, well, that bit's quite good, or maybe yes, we should do that, or we shouldn't do that. You take charge of that. And then the next day I might have something and Tom has to do what I want. And that's a very healthy relationship. And it also means that, you know, especially in Fly the Flag, as you say, you know, there's our songs, Lewis's songs, Joe and Jack in the band are also writing. You get a real flavor of the band, and it depresses me somewhat seeing a lot of current bands, you know, and it's either the singer or one sole member of the band claiming his own genius because he wrote a terrible song, or saying, you know, we do it all collectively. I don't believe bands write songs collectively. Usually, you know, one person will have 75% of it and might be generous enough to say, all right, guys, I want to hear you on this track now because you're my bandmate and you're as important as I am in the works. And a lot of bands miss out on that, and I think it's unattractive. And you know, I'm very pleased that on this record we're all stepping forward and stepping up to the plate into not just performance-wise, musically, but as songwriters. And I think there has to be, I think, to have differences or to have disagreements is a real positive in a band. It's healthy, and being different animals. I mean, Tom wouldn't want to be me, and I wouldn't want to be Tom. So I think that's.
And neither of us want to be Lewis. Lewis's words are very abstract, though. You're right. That song is very, and he has other songs that are very wacky. You know,
Yeah.
I think mine and Johnny's aren't as lyric wise. They're a bit more on the head, which.
Yeah, well, Dawn and me had a theory about you as lyricist. So I think like Johnny's like the romantic lyricist, and you're the lapsed romantic.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's romantic. That's so true.
I don't know if that's just lyrics, sadly, but
Tom, this is a PC podcast.
He what? I think Johnny's done it a lot longer, so I think he has a wider range of stuff, you know.
Yeah. When I said lapsed romantic,
That's
I mean
a polite way of saying I'm
yeah.
more bored than he is.
Or Tom's a little bit more cynical than you maybe.
No, I am cynical. I mean, all of my best friends say I'm a huge pain in the ass. You know, I am naturally inclined to be the one that says I don't want to do it. You know.
Yeah.
Well, the classic Paul McCartney, John Lennon story was, you know, I saw her standing there. You know, originally the lyric was, I think Paul McCartney said she was just 17, as sweet as can be. And John Lennon came in afterwards and said, well, that's not really there yet. It should be she was just 17, if you know what I mean. And like, it's them differences of nature that make songs what they are. There's you know, even Squeeze, you know, Chris Difford and Glenn Tilbrook, like how they forged their polar opposite personalities in many ways into one thing and create something very special. Yeah,
and I found that with the songs that you co-wrote, like It Ain't Over Till It's Over. That to me is a real Hardwicke classic. It's the finest vocal to start that opening kind of vocal. You can really feel the intensity of it. It's such a fantastic song, guys, and I love hearing it live too. Live, like you say, you're all contributing to this band. You are like 5 chambers of the same organism when you're on that stage, and it's really, really good to watch. And I implore anyone who's watching or listening here today to go and see Hardwicke live, because on record it's great, but you get more when you go and see you guys live.
Well, that's a lovely comment. Thanks. About it's nice to hear you mention the music and the vocal. You know, because even you know, you watch a lot of Glastonbury coverage on the television or listen to like radio hosts, and you never get asked about the music. You never get asked about the vocal performance or the intensity. You know, there's a kind of affectitious like approach to musicians instead of just talking about music. And that's what we're here for. So yeah, it's definitely a Hardwicke track. That's Tom's track. It's definitely a great track.
It's wicked. It is wicked. It's wicked. And you're going to be taking the Hardwicke caravan on the road, aren't you? You're going. You're hitting Europe. And I wore my like Sparta Prague cap because the Czech Republic is mine and Dawn's. It's one of our favourite country. It's amazing. So who knows? We may be there on some leg of the journey. Who knows? We're going to try.
You have to come.
Yeah. And there's a couple of dates that we've earmarked for the ones to go to, because there's a place in the Czech Republic that's Carlisle. It's on your and it's an amazing place. So who knows? We might show.
It sounds
anyway,
like
you're going to you're going to the Czech Republic, guys, in October. So why what happened there? What was the choice behind that country?
Well, we were staying in some very downbeat kind of motorway hotel in the middle of, I think it was near Milton Keynes, and we woke up in the morning. The dream, obviously. We woke up in the morning, and we got a message on our Facebook page, and a fan of the band had got in touch saying he loves what we're doing. He'd love to organise us a tour of the Czech Republic. So that really lifted our spirits in the morning. And before we knew it, all 18 dates were arranged, and it's happening. It's happening. We're going to the Czech Republic. We played in Groningen in Holland just as COVID struck. But this is our first real tour in the back of our decrepit van in the middle of the European winter. So we're made for it.
You better buy a coat, boys. Better buy a coat. But
Yeah.
no, it's a great country, great food. Yeah, if you love your food, the food's fantastic and cheap beer, as everyone knows. But yeah, you
No, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's fantastic, mate. Fantastic. So we'll be keeping our eye on that and hopefully joining you somewhere along the way. Now I'm conscious that we're about 25 minutes in and we haven't even touched on football yet. And
we need part two.
A part two. I'll tell you what, guys. I'm happy for that. We'll come back and do a part two later on.
Even
Maybe
Scrag got a part two.
Yeah, all right. Well, you can have a part two. Yeah.
Why don't we get part two?
I'll tell you what.
I feel as though I have a slight advantage over Joe because Stephen talked in great detail about Liverpool, so
Yeah.
I had kind of a few tips. My knowledge of 1980s Liverpool has never been better. So, whereas I don't think you've had Carlisle one yet, so Johnny's a little bit.
No. Well, I mean, we're gonna delve into that in a little bit, but yeah, part two definitely, guys. When you come back from the Czech Republic, we'll do a retrospective. Have a look into that, and we'll talk about that. But also, there's going to be a Football Geeks quiz. There's going to be one today as well, but this is going to be a big quiz where ex-guests are going to come on, and you're going to be up against people like Scraggy and then Gary Thacker and all these kind of oracles of football. So you might want to hide your phone on Google in the corner of the screen and pretend you're not sourcing your information from the internet for that one. So yeah, that's going to happen. So part two, we're part two's coming round. So it is a football podcast, and I know from our chats in the past that you love your football. So where does your passion for the game come from? What were your football beginnings, boys?
Well, we always went to the Carlisle matches with our granddad. That was a key one, and he was a real nut, you know. He went to all the games. So me and Johnny used to do that, and then I think growing up, the sort of like you kind of just have like snapshot memories of things, you know. And a lot of our life was, aside from playing like the Ramones together, we would play on the park and we'd play football with our school friends on this really, really hard concrete ground, which is why both of our knees are now fucked, I think. Because like 10 years, we would just run around with crap trainers and just play football. And then other things, I think one reason we both like Liverpool is you know, like Istanbul in 2005. You know, I remember watching that with my family, and it was just incredible. Just
It was a magical football game. That was. It was that was a night where the impossible happened, wasn't it?
Yeah, but just normal reasons. You know, you. Growing up, you'd play it with your friends, and you'd go watch games with your family, and watch games. So, and it's just a
And
good
you-
game. You know?
Yeah, and you guys, you went to the League Two playoff final, didn't you? Which has to be the acme for Carlisle fans going to a stadium like Wembley and seeing the team from your home city win.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal day. Like, even just seeing what felt like the whole of Carlisle on the stretch up to Wembley was a really big moment. You know, everyone talks about being in Wembley in the 90s. And now we can finally speak about being in Wembley and having won in such great circumstances. I mean, you know, the idea that it's such a great tale of, you know, Paul Simpson returning to the club after being here in the early noughties and coming back and rescuing Carlisle once again, and putting them back at the forefront of a lot of people's minds in the town is just so special. And what's amazing, I think, with Carlisle, it's kind of like, it's a theme that managers kind of do that. You know, it's like you look at kind of Bill Shankly when he was at Carlisle, like he came back and it was as much about encouraging the local population, getting the city behind the football club in that kind of psychological way and showing the players that you have a fan base here, as it was about the tactics that actually spurred the players on to do great things. You know, he saved them from relegation. Then 3 years later, they almost reached promotion. But also this idea that, you know, he came in and he brought some new life into the stadium, renovating it. And that's another thing Paul Simpson's done. And I just think it's an amazing story of as much about the kind of the power of a team as the power of a small northern town. Like, and that's, and in its very essence is why I think a lot of people get into football in the first place. It's that local feeling it gives you, and it's a very local story. So it was very special to have all them feelings coming back at Wembley, and not to mention all the cracking penalties.
yeah, there were some absolute bangers going in there, weren't they? They obviously did the practice beforehand, and we're going to be doing penalties in a little while, but we'll explain what the format for that in a short while. So, yeah, Carlisle, yeah, I know you're coming from a small town and supporting a club, well, small city, supporting that city. It does become kind of. Because the city's in you, isn't it? I come from Birmingham, and I've got this mentality where I can slag off my city as much as I want. But if somebody comes from outside and about it, is that, I suppose it's the same kind of mentality as somebody from your.
No, it is, and like. For us, you know, football, it wasn't like a discovery. It was just always there. You know, it was always a small kind of insular thing between a group of friends. Like, as Tom said, you know, with our grandparents' house in Carlisle, the garage opened up onto this park called Petty Park, Petrol Street Park, and it was surrounded by the backs of garages, and these weren't garages that had people's second car in. You know, it was the kind of garage that would have your outdoor loo in and some hardened paint pots, and in the middle of this was this huge kind of sways of concrete slabs with these rectangular wooden boxes about a foot tall, and in them they were filled with bark and some very cheap play apparatus. And, you know, we'd every night after school or before school or in the summer holidays out till, you know, midnight in some instances, you know, we'd be dotting out on that park, kicking the ball about with all of the kind of the grandparents or the parents sat outside of their garages watching their kids. And I always remember that kind of that community feeling about it. Like that, and you know, we played football up until we were kind of 16, 17 for clubs and whatever else. But it's them initial community feelings that that inspired us to enjoy football and want to support our local team. Yeah, I think that's such a vital element, especially in lower league football. I mean, you can try and compete as much as you like with the big dogs, but if you lose that flavor too early on, it strips the whole philosophy of the team, and you see the effect of that in the players. So going into this season, in League One, I hope that element is still at the fore of everything the team does.
Yeah. So what are the aspirations for next season, but the primary goals are for Carl?
Well, I think the Carlisle needs to still get behind the team. I mean, it's if we don't have that, it's very easy for Carlisle, as proven in the past, to sink again. I think we've just got a striker in from Blackburn, so hopefully that'll help an awful lot. I mean, we did incredibly well. Our two top scorers were essentially defensive midfielders. Oh, he's disappeared.
Just me and you, Johnny.
You will talk about it. Where is he?
And what do you think about the striker coming from Blackburn? Who did you put as your favourite old players then?
Not telling you that.
You're not saying?
Where is he? Are you mad? I can't let that on. Oh, you'll love it though. You'll love it.
That's not part of the quiz though, is it?
I don't know. I've got no idea.
I wonder if
Hold on. Can I bring him in?
You should. Yeah. Do I have anything on here?
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, boys. We lost connection for a little while.
That's all right.
So it's all right. We can cut it back down. So we're coming back in from aspirations for the coming season. So can we head from there again?
Yes.
Let's go.
Well, we've just signed a new striker from Blackburn, which is good. Our two top goal scorers this year were a defender and a midfielder with six each. So,
Right.
so we did an incredible job at actually getting promotion. But we've got this guy from Blackburn. I mean, I think he only scored 4 goals in 34 games last year. So we're hoping this will be the making of him.
Yeah, let's hope. Yeah, it sounds amazing. How much did you get him for? Like 10 or something like that?
I hope so. I hope so. But I mean, I think ultimately it still boils down to the fans. Attendance rose so much when Simo came back, and that helps the team so much. I mean, when Warwick Road is full of people on a Saturday afternoon, when the News and Star, the local rag, is behind the team, there's definitely a sense about the town that actually we got to get behind this. And Carlisle people, I know with the music, we're very naturally suspicious people. So we're but we're the same. We're the same, and we got to get behind the team. And that's what I hope for. A few more goals and a bit more keeping that spirit strong.
I think it's probably like that with a lot of clubs, Carlisle size, and towns.
Yeah. I mean, at Birmingham City this week, we've just we've got a new owner who's like got 1.3 billion pounds in the bank. So, but to me, that isn't modern football. Yeah, well, it is. So it is modern football. It's synonymous with this kind of virus that's going throughout football, where teams just get a rich owner, and then they kind of pour money in, and like Newcastle, they suddenly become this entity that they haven't been for like the past 25 years, and it makes me judge the fairness of modern football. But I suppose it's better to have the money
it's
than not.
No, I think it's 100% unfair. It's just not really like obviously it's clearly just not a long term like realistic plan. Like the Super League last year. Once that's happened once, it's boring because you can't go down and you can't go up. That's it. And it's just like, or like the Newcastle with a like Newcastle on steroids would be the new Saudi league where they're just buying all these older players. But Jordan Henderson, he's been offered a huge contract. I think he's turned it down currently. Although maybe by the time this came out, he might already be there with a really nice tan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't find it very interesting. And I don't think Liverpool are actually that bad at it because they have the buy to sell, don't they? They have to sell players if they want to buy them.
Yeah, they're certainly not the worst. They do work within a kind of some sort of business demographic anyway. So it's not, they're definitely, not the worst.
What's kind of weird about Newcastle is it's sort of, I agree with what Jonny said about how the team can often be like a banner for the sort of identity of the town and stuff. I think that's quite important. But then if you take Newcastle, it's like the polar opposite. You have this really iconic kind of northern
industrial
kind of
city. Yeah.
And they're very they know who they are and they wear the heart on their sleeve and stuff. And they're very charming people.
Was it us to
but
talk?
Yet they're now backed by this sort of polar opposite scheme, and they all seem to love it. You know what I mean? And it's like what it's not. It shouldn't be like that, in my opinion. I don't like that it's like that.
Were we discussing the Saint, because they're renaming the stadium, aren't they? And they've come to some agreement that it will be at St James's Park.
God,
so instead of renaming the whole, it's just going to be Emirates or I don't know the name of it. Anyways, at St James's Park, and I think lower league football has constantly been trying to grab on to anything it can to save itself for however long now, and now they're getting a taste of their own medicine, and it's a shame, but it does it sets a bad precedent. Is what
it does make you want to hark for the days of the past where there was it was all kind of egalitarian and anyone could win cups, anyone could win the league, and now it's like you've got a choice of about 4 teams who are going to be in the hat, and that's it. It's never going to be anything different than that.
I think there'll always be teams that are unreachable, and that's fine. I don't think you can't point at the players or the manager or anyone like that, but the focus just has to be on being closer to home, and I think that's more exciting anyways. I think there's more culture to it. I think there's more discussion to be had about it. I mean, even since listening to your podcast and seeing your Twitter feed, like, I'm blown away by the extreme understanding a lot of people have on what might be required fairly niche topics, when actually there's a whole community there that is really involved in it, and I think that's much more exciting than just talking about Saudi money.
Yeah, definitely. It's football's about history and heritage and nostalgia, and that's what we try to kind of capture. And also those fans, like you say. I mean, when I was a kid, you supported the club. You got the ruler. Frank Skinner said this, and it's true. You got the ruler out, got the A to Z out, and you measured which club was nearest to your home, and that's who you supported. And that's lost now in the matrix of Birmingham city centre. You see people wearing Man City, Man United, and Arsenal tops, and very few wearing Birmingham City and Villa tops. It's a sad indictment of the modern game, really.
I actually, thinking about that, Newcastle United have actually done amazingly well at keeping their natural spirit about themselves, even in the whole takeover. I actually think as a club, the players and Eddie Hearn and how they've conducted the whole thing has actually been a good model.
Yeah,
when it's out of their hands, I think they've just focused on the football, and I think that's quite special.
And I think Newcastle people are originals anyway, aren't they? They're very different to kind of London and even Manchester or the people. They're
they're good, honest people, like famously,
Yeah.
and I think that shines through.
Yeah, I don't think they'd ever let a kind of outside consortium just completely own their club. They kind of own their club by who they are. Yeah,
by their presence, and that's what I'm saying. Like there's a certain power, in the number of fans they have, and like when I'm talking about Carlisle or Birmingham or whoever, like that's where your real strength is.
Yeah. So harking back, guys, I asked you to think. Yeah, going back to however many years you want to think of who were the players that really excited you when you were growing up or in your football formative years.
Well, Carlisle had two players when I was about 8. They had.
Can I guess?
Go on, you can guess.
I think obviously one has to be Westwood.
Kieran Westwood.
And it's either Zigo Arenalde or Carl Hawley.
Bang on, Zigo Arenalde.
Yeah,
bang on.
I was thinking before. Do you remember Johan Smith?
Yeah.
That American guy that he was
the striker.
He was a speedball, and he used to do stepovers past the byline. You know, he just ran forward all the time, and I don't think he ever made an assist or ever got a goal. But he was so fun. You know,
yeah, he was great.
He was great.
But Kieran Westwood was a goalkeeper, and during it's kind of 2004 to 2008 time, he was just phenomenal. He had a great kind of stoic determinism about himself, and he went on to great things. Played for, Republic of Ireland, Coventry, and he always, before every game, he'd go to the D, and he'd kind of bend over with the towel over his head, and you could hear a needle drop in the whole ground. It was just one of them moments. And also Zigo Arenalde was a defender, similar time, and he was this great Spaniard, and he was just very elegant in his kind of defending, I thought, as an 8-year-old. And I don't know, he kind of brought a kind of a cultural exuberance to a club sponsored by meat and potato pies. And I just thought there was a great grace to his playing. And I don't know, I just always remember Zigo Arenalde. But Carl Hawley and Peter Murphy, I remember seeing Carlisle against Swansea at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff in one of the Football League trophy in
2006 or something.
Something like that. And Peter Murphy scored a great free kick in the first half, and then in our usual fashion we went on to lose 2-1. But it was a great day out, and them players from that time, I think it's because, as Tom says, we went with our granddad, and I don't know, they really captured our kind of minds.
Yeah.
And you remember them, like you don't need to do any research. You just sort of remember the names.
Yeah.
You kind of remember how they played. But it's that age where you kind of take everything in and you don't really forget it.
But no, you're right. It was to us when we were that young, it was kind of like Premier League players in a conference division. That's what they kind of seemed like.
Yeah.
But I don't
heroic. They were kind of heroic.
I don't know about you, but I always thought they were kind of old, right? You kind of when you're 8, you think, oh God, they're old. But
maybe they just were old. Maybe the better part of their career was behind them, and you bought them when they were at 34 or something like that.
They might have been younger than us. Like, you don't put an age on people when you're that young. So you know, I just thought they were old, but some of them are still playing now. So they must be young, like 20 or something.
Well, Joe Garner is one of our attackers, and he was at Carlisle 12 years ago, maybe, and he's come back.
And
Also Owen Mock.
Is Glenn Murray? Remember Glenn Murray? I think he ended Premier League.
Yeah, Brighton,
Right.
Glenn Murray. Yeah.
And Danny Murphy.
Yeah.
And he came
Wow.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, it's I always I think that it's all like when you're thinking about players from people talk about players from the past, who are the great players, but they've never actually seen them. They talk about players from like 30, 40 years ago. You've never seen them kick a ball in a real game where you've been on the terraces. And I think it's when remembering players that you love, it has to be ones that you've actually witnessed with your own eyes, and I think that's an important facet that a lot of people forget. They say, "Oh, Beckenbauer was great." Yeah, well, he was great, evidently, but you never watched him play. So, and it's having that magic of seeing it with your own eyes that makes it real. Yeah,
it really is. And I think when we were watching these players, the game was on a bit of a cusp torn between kind of the idea of being a kind of a passionate, brave player, maybe not technically completely gifted, but you could judge a player on that kind of level, and then obviously into the very modern day game now, it's much more, tactically based and organized, and a lot of that soul has been shifted, and you kind of you don't want to judge a player on his assists or his goals. There needs to be whether he was a great player or a bad player, it's did you see him, and was there a personality there? And all these players at Carlisle definitely had that.
And that was true at Wembley, like last month. Stockport, especially in the first half, they were kind of outplayed, really. I think they were technically like better, but come the second half, we kind of physically we outdid them, and we kind of just had a bit more spirit in the last 20 minutes. Paul Simpson made 2 great subs. I don't know who they were, but they were really good. And we just had a bit more balls and gusto in the last 15 minutes, and then it went to extra time, obviously, and
penalties.
Penalties, and Owen Moxon, who's he embodied the whole success of the team, like his drive and determination. He's kind of fearless, and it's players like that make you believe in a club, and that is that got us to penalties.
Well, I mean, that is going to hopefully forge in a new generation of young boys from Carlisle a want to go to Brunton Park and
Carlisle lad, absolutely.
Yeah. And talking about penalties, we're going to move on because as an interesting kind of sort of end to the show, we're going to have a quiz penalty shootout. It's penalty shootout format, so one question. If you get it right, you score. If you don't, you miss. And it's going to be an improbable cup final because it's going to be Carlisle United versus Liverpool.
It's worse. Stranger things have happened. Carlisle beat Roma once. That's the.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And at an Olympic Stadium way back. I can't remember when, but
wow.
I was already nervous, Johnny. Now I'm more nervous.
Yeah, so Carlisle, wearing the blue of Carlisle, that we're gonna have Jonny, and wearing the red of Liverpool, we're gonna have Tom. So I've got a coin in my hand, and I'm gonna toss the coin. And I'll ask. Who shall I ask? I'll ask Tom to call. Okay, and this is to decide whether you wish to go first or second in the shootout. Okay, so call it, Tom.
I think I want to go. What gives you the advantage? Second section?
Get on with it.
I want to go first. No,
okay.
I don't. I want second. I want to go second.
So heads or tails?
Oh, well, heads.
Okay, it's tails. It's tails. So Johnny, he's told you what he psychologically wanted now. Does that give you an advantage, do you think?
Oh, definitely. What big advantage. I mean,
I was going to toss a coin. I was going to toss a coin to see. I was going to toss a coin to see which end you wanted to shoot as well, but that's ridiculous. Yeah, into the Carlisle fans or into the Liverpool fans, but there are no Carlisle or Liverpool fans. It's all a big kind of hypothesis anyway. So yeah, Johnny, do you want to go first or second, mate?
Oh, I'll go first. Do it.
Oh, wicked. I'm going to try and put my kind of authoritative commentator voice on. So penalty number 1, the question, Johnny, to take the lead in the shootout. Name the on loan Carlisle keeper who scored the injury time winner v Plymouth that preserved the Blues league status at the end of 90. Yeah.
Jimmy Glass.
Yay! 1-0. Successfully banged into the roof of the net by Johnny
corner.
Well done, Johnny. Yeah, keeper didn't even sniff it, mate. Keeper didn't even sniff it.
I knew that one.
You knew that one.
I just wanted
it's a shame it weren't your question then, mate.
I want it on the record that I knew that one.
You knew that one. So Tom knew that one. But unfortunately, that doesn't earn you anything, Tom. This does, though. This one does, though. Okay. So to level the scores, Tom.
Yeah.
Who were Liverpool's opponents when they won their first ever European trophy? So their first ever European trophy.
Oh, is it it's a German club. It's I don't know how it's much and
yeah. You can have that. Yeah, you can have that. Borussia Mönchengladbach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Liverpool played 2 finals against them, obviously the European Cup. But this was in the UEFA Cup in 72-73. So, yeah, 1-1. Smashed home.
Well done, Tom.
Yeah. Well done, yeah. It was right down the middle, this penalty. I was watching it, but the keeper had already moved.
You did a stuttering run-up for that one.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you noticed that? You noticed that, Johnny? Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Well done.
I wonder.
I'm just wondering how long we can sustain these kind of football terms when we just talk. Well, I think we can go on all day, can't we? So number 2, guys. Number 2, Johnny. Okay, so to re-establish a lead, which manager led Carlisle to the top tier of English football at the end of the 1973-74 season?
I should.
Yeah, think of a famous British kind of car pickup kind of company. The initials.
Oh, I really should know this. I know they beat because I know they got to the top because they beat Tottenham.
Yeah,
that was the famous game. But what's the bloody name? Nah. Gone. It's gone.
Oh, shall I put you out your misery?
Put me out of it. Put me out of it.
It's Alan Ashman.
Alan Ashman. Oh, no, I skied that one. Completely skied
it. Yeah, over the bar. This opens a window of fabulous opportunity for Tom now, who we discussed earlier. Liverpool questions are probably there's more of them, but they're probably easier to get. Or maybe I'm doing you a disservice there, mate. We'll find out anyway. We'll find out, won't we? So to take the lead, Tom, who is Liverpool's top scorer in all competitions?
Mo Salah, or maybe Robbie Fowler.
Oh dear, he's hit the base of the post and then it's rebounded back into play. It remains 1-1. It was in fact Ian Rush.
Ian
Ian
Rush.
Rush. Sorry about that. Yeah, but
Uh,
it keeps it in the game nice and tight. Yeah.
That game.
So moving on to number 3, for Jonny to take the lead. Name the ex-England international who played for Liverpool, amongst others, who started his pro career at Brunton Park in 1979.
Peter Beardsley must be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The keeper went the wrong way. Bottom left
By
hand
the way,
corner.
I know it was only going that way. It was only going to happen.
Yeah, you gave him the. I saw you gave him the eyes.
Give him the and a little dip, you know.
Yeah, the little shoulder dip and smacked away. Yeah, wonderful penalty. Well done. Yeah, 2-1. And moving on. So Tom, to equalise, which player has scored in the most consecutive games for Liverpool?
Most consecutive games.
I can give you the number of consecutive games that he scored in. 10 consecutive games.
10. I mean, one of these has to be Mo. Is this Mo? Mo Salah?
Are you going for Mo?
Yeah.
2-2. Yeah.
I thought you had a little niggle there, Tom.
Yeah, I think as well because there was a small amount of prompting. The keeper got a glove on that, but couldn't keep it out. Yeah, he got a glove on it, but it's still kind of trickled into the corner.
The Ian Rush thing really has got me off guard. My knowledge on things before I was born are kind of limited. But I was thinking maybe it could have been Michael Owen, maybe, but it wasn't. So I'm very pleased.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, that's good. That's good, and it keeps it nice and tight as well. Guys, if it comes to a draw, I've even written a decider question, which is a hands up one, and not. So, but anyway, we're not there yet. So, okay, moving on to question number 4. Jonny, who were Carlisle's opponents in their 2011 Football League trophy win at Wembley?
Ooh.
So who were Carlisle's opponents in their 2011 Football League trophy win at Wembley? I can give a small clue if needed.
Oh, shit.
I think I don't know. What cup is this?
Football League trophy.
Shit. Was it? Was it Northampton?
He skied it again. Oh,
Was it Wickham?
It was a team that are presently in the Premier League.
Luton.
Brentford.
Yeah,
Brentford. A 1-0 victory.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
That's within the kind of scale of memory as well. You know.
That's bad. That's an embarrassing one, but that's fine.
Yeah,
I'll recover.
Well, to be honest, John, the penalty wasn't great, mate. It wasn't great.
It was a shoddy penalty.
Right, so moving on, this to kind of establish a lead with one penalty each left after this one. So Tom, to take the lead at 3-2. Who scored Liverpool's winner in the FIFA Club World Cup final of 2019?
I know that one. I didn't look at that one. It could be Origi.
Are you going for Origi?
I don't know. I know he scored in the final, but no, I was checking. Yeah, I'm going for Origi.
It was.
Hey,
Bobby Firmino.
Oh,
Bobby Firmino. Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't look. I had limited time, and I decided to leave out revision on the club.
You can't train for this.
I didn't a bit of research.
You can't train.
Well, that's yeah. Well, you know what it shows you what you're up against, John. You're up against somebody who's actually put in the hours. You know what I mean? He's put in the hours. Probably
I
up
put in
training
the
till about 2:30 in the morning. Yeah.
I put in the hours and I still
by the
missed.
looks of it.
And still neglected to look at Bobby Firmino and his contribution to the history of Liverpool Football Club. But yeah, blocked with the legs by the keeper. Keeper, the penalty taker holds his head in his hands, and we move on to penalty number 5. Make or break, boys. So Jonny, what was Carlisle's name upon formation in 1896?
Shadengate.
Yes, yeah, tucks it away nicely.
Because I know it was Shadengate, but there's also another team in Carlisle called
It's Carlisle
Red Rose or something.
Yeah.
And
there was a merge, wasn't there? And they then became Carlisle United. But it is Shadengate United, and it puts you into a 3-2 lead. So the pressure is now on.
Come on,
young Tom there. Okay, so question number 5, Tom. Are you ready? No, just building up the tension, tension builder there. In which year did Liverpool win the FA Cup, League Cup, UEFA Cup, European Super Cup, and Charity Shield? 5 trophies, 1 year. What was the year?
I mean, unless it was in like the 80s, it must be like recently. But I don't know whether to go with the 80s or recently. When did they win? Because I know,
Tom, this is time wasting. You can't fucking do that. Hurry up.
The inevitable.
I know that Jordan Henderson has lifted every trophy.
Yeah, but not in one. Sorry, was the question in one season?
Yeah, 1 season, 1 year.
Season.
Yeah, just name the year. Yeah.
All right.
Do you want the trophies again? The trophies were the FA Cup, the League Cup, the UEFA Cup. There's a clue there because UEFA Cup hasn't been called the UEFA Cup for
it's
for a while. Yeah, UEFA Cup, European Super Cup, and Charity Shield. FA Cup, League Cup, UEFA Cup, European Super Cup, Charity Shield.
I'm going to go with I'm going to go with 78 because I did a little research, and I know that one of the managers on his first season won the double, but I know that guy was in the 80s. I can't remember which year it was, which means I think it might be the 70s. So I'm gonna go with whatever I just said, 78, with my fingers crossed, and I'll be happy if I hit the woodwork.
The year was 2001 under Gerard Houllier, which makes today's penalty king Jonny. 3-2, mate.
Thank you very much.
So walk up the steps, hold the trophy aloft.
20 away. Huh? That's 23 years away.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, actually, in the course of thousands and thousands of years of history, that isn't.
You're only 23. That's not bad. Actually.
Only 20.
Considering
we've been on the planet for millions of years, that's pretty good. Yeah.
I think
in the stands somewhere.
I think at least
I was trying to like get there, as in, I didn't know that cup. I didn't know we won 5 in 1 year. That
yeah. It was they won the FA Cup against Arsenal. Michael Owen 2 goals. They beat Birmingham City in the League Cup, and I was there on penalties. Yeah, and I think it was Bayern Munich in the Super Cup, Alaves in the UEFA Cup. Yeah, and in the Charity Shield, I think it was that season. Oh, can't remember. Probably Man U. I think it was Man U. Yeah. So
I think this interview with if Philip O'Rourke or any of your other Stephen or any other guests see who they have to face on the joint thing, they'll have a field day. So
oh, boys, you are going to have to cheat.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to do something. I know. Well,
Oh, wicked.
embarrassment.
Do you want to hear what the decider
my-
question was? Because this might
Pardon?
kind of lead into something. Do you want to hear what the decider question was? If
yeah,
if
let's
Tom
do
would
it.
have
Let's do it.
Okay, so with which goalie has the most clean sheets in Premier League history? Most clean sheets. It wouldn't be Seaman, I wouldn't think. No. So which goalie?
Is it the Newcastle keeper? What was he called? Sean, the Irish guy.
No, it won't be him.
No,
But yeah,
no, I know which
Or-
one. Yeah.
Or
I think maybe Johnny. It's like potentially someone like Petr Cech. He was there for a long time, and he was so good.
Tom, you've hit the nail on the head. It was
Very good.
Petr Cech. And that leads us up. Tom knows a joke about Petr Cech, don't you? Don't you, Tom?
Oh,
You
you
know a
got
joke about
have
Petr
to
Cech.
tell it.
No,
You
I can't.
You
I
tell it.
can't.
You shared it with me in Chester, and
Come on, say it, man.
I think I was probably a little too worse for wear when I told you that.
yeah.
No.
It's too early. People should look at. I won't do it justice.
You will do
already-
it.
I've already embarrassed myself to
This will
Yeah.
redeem you, though.
the top of the stand.
It's
I can't go.
I heard this is a goalkeeper joke then to fill the void where I thought Tom was going to tell his Petr Cech joke. Maybe next time, maybe in part 2. Who knows? Yeah. I met a girl on Tinder and she came to the date dressed as Dino Zoff. I thought she's a keeper. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. So guys,
Yeah, I feel like I need to say it now. I feel like I have to
please do. Just because you know why I want you to say it, because if anyone is listening on Spotify, I'm going to have to do an audio description of what you do at the end, and that's going to be hilarious.
Well, before I say it, I think people should just look it up firstly, but I'll give them a little bit of a taster, but it's not great. And this bit is true. It's the Chelsea kitman. It's on YouTube. This Chelsea kitman is really jolly, and he's really happy to be working or something. And he's getting videoed, and he's like, "All right, I've got a good joke for you." And he goes, "So there's this lady in a block of flats, and there's a fire in the flats, and she's really worried because she's got a baby and she can't get down, right? And Petr Cech's walking by, and he screams, don't worry, I'm Petr Cech, the top Premier League goalie, Chelsea #1 or whatever." And she's like, "Well, are you going to help?" And he says, yeah, I'll help, but just throw your baby down. I'll catch it. I'm Petr Cech. And she goes, "Oh, okay." And then this is where you're going to have to do some audio kind of adjustment. He's running around. He's going, look at me. I'm Petr Cech. I'm Petr Cech. And she's like, something like, "Oh, you better catch it because it's my baby. And I'm about to, the fire's about to hit us." And he says, "Okay, just do it. Just do it." And she throws the baby down this block of flats, and Petr Cech's, running around trying to catch this baby. And he catches the baby, he bounces it on the floor, and he boots it right back up to her.
Yeah, and for those who are listening on Spotify, can I describe what's happened here? Tom Foster of Hardwicke Circus has just drop kicked a baby.
Yeah. As if it wasn't already going really badly. But what I'm thinking is that'll be the headline, not that I only scored 2
Tom Foster drop kicks a baby.
Yeah, I think that's better than 3 penalties.
That sounds amazing. But
the listeners should look it up. The guy tells the joke so well. It's more kind of how he tells it because he laughs so much.
Yeah.
Really.
It is funny. I remember. Yeah, I've seen the video. It is funny. It's funny. So that's something to look out for, guys out there. Have a look at the video. It is good. It is good. So, boys, tell us what's up and coming. What's happening in the near future.
Well, we're going to play at the Upton Blues Festival next Friday. I don't know if this
See
will be
you
out by
there.
then.
See you there.
See you there. We're playing in London at the Half Moon in Putney on Wednesday, the 26th of July. So that's 10 days away. And that's a great gig for us. Really well-known venue. And hopefully that'll sell out very soon. Tickets selling really good. And then we're on to festivals. We're playing Kendal Calling in our neck of the woods. And then obviously pushing the album more and onto the Czech Republic in October, starting in Prague and ending in Prague. So maybe we can even go for a game of football or watch a game when we're there. It'd be amazing.
I went to the Letna when I went last time. That's where Sparta Prague play. And
Yeah.
it was amazing. It was amazing. But I want to go and watch Bohemians this time because they're
Yes,
the kind of
that'd be
hipster
amazing.
club.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, there's loads of a team called Victoria Zizkov who are in the Jewish quarter of town as well, which is it's a great walk through in the grounds of one of these old kind of.
That's amazing. I've been there. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's one of these old rat and trap grounds from the from deep in time, but it's an amazing kind of setting, Yeah, guys, definitely. If we're in Prague, we'd definitely love to do that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, no, I'd love to.
Oh, fantastic!
I think to redeem ourselves, we should do a football geeks 5-a-side football match, and Scrag. All those guys will be overwhelmed at my composure and vision on the pitch.
Yeah.
Won't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, it's easy to answer a few questions. It's when you're kind of face to face and you're kind of in battle on the pitch where the men are separated from the boys, really. So
yeah.
So I might cite that to Gary and Steve and say, come on, they want to take you on. Let's find a halfway house somewhere between Liverpool and Carlisle. Let's get it on.
I'm all about the game.
It's all about the game. Oh god.
Now I know as captain I should delegate penalties to other teammates.
Well, I used to be a goalkeeper. I was a goalkeeper for like 20 years. So I'll go in goal for that. Yeah,
I played in goal as well.
Oh, did you?
He was great in goal.
Yeah,
chose the wrong career path.
Yeah, Johnny, were you good? Were your basics good, or were you spectacular, or both?
I was pretty steady. I mean, I was long and lanky, and that was half the battle. But I was, pretty serious about it at a time. I played for local clubs, and then Allerdale and a little county, and I played with some really good players. One guy who plays for Bolton called Kyle Dempsey, who's from round here. He was always great, really kind of tough guy, and another guy called Patrick Bruff, kind of West Cumbrian guys, and they're pro footballers, and then I played in goal loads, and then I had an operation on my chest, and it completely kind of scrapped even playing kind of Sunday league kind of stuff. So the music took over at that point.
Yeah. And what were your football what's your football pedigree, Tom?
Well, I never got off the park. No. I was a real person on the street. A real footballer.
Oh, I see. Street football, mate.
No, I played at a few local clubs.
Tom was pretty rapid. Okay. Tom was pretty rapid. Played for Stanix.
Was he like the American guy who used to kind of be all speed and no product?
That's me, like across the board.
All speed, no product. Yeah. Oh dear.
That's me.
Is that's a grave epitaph? Here lies Tom Foster, all speed, no product.
Yeah. That's true.
Oh, and on that bump, guys, it's been great talking to you. Can you just let everyone know who hasn't discovered you yet where the album is available? Where can people get this great album that we talked about? What seems like about 3 days ago, but it was only like just under an hour.
Yeah, it's on Spotify and Apple Music, and get us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, all the places. It's just Hardwicke Circus, and thank you so much for having us on. Honestly, it's been such a laugh. I loved it.
It's been a joy. It's been a joy. So, guys, get out there, buy the Hardwicke Circus albums. They're immense live act, and listen at the end of this show because you'll hear their great song. Let's Make No Mistakes. And we'll see you next time on Football Geeks. Take care, everyone.
Hurrah! Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.